Kia ora everyone, man, you cover some report and then a few days later the full thing gets revealed. We finally have pictures of the LEGO Jabba Sail Barge, all set to be releasing October 3rd for all VIP members or October 6th worldwide. And like every adult scaled LEGO set these days, we already have some controversial takes on this thing. Set 75397 Jabba Sail Barge releases at 500 USD or, as I expected, 850 NZD. The set here contains 3,942 pieces in total and it has 11 figures. Is that worth the $500 price tag? That's yet to be decided. First, I'll cover the set itself and then I'll go over the minifigure inclusions, and then for fun, how about we compare some prices to other sets for value sakes. There are timestamps down below for all of those interested. First and foremost, I never got any of those playscale Sail Barge sets from over a decade ago now. That means that I am fully in the market for wanting to buy one, and given the current sale price for those playset models, it's around like 300 to 500 NZD. I just thought, well, why not go all out and get a bigger scale model then? I wanted to see what this one looked like in scale in preliminary images, and the pictures here of the guy holding them, it seems to sell me quite well. It's a lot bigger in scale compared to those playset ones, but interestingly, it does appear to mimic those designs quite well. There are parts of the build here that are definite improvements, right? Like the bow of the ship there looks a lot cleaner in the scale and the design than the playset model does, but for some of the other sections, they are still pretty similar. These side wing parts here you can see feature a lot more pieces this time round compared to the previous playset models, and ultimately it still matches the shape of the previous models. The caveat being less pieces in that set is what can make a set cheaper. So here we have something that is still similar, but it uses a lot more parts for added detail, therefore a higher cost. Obviously the set is more expensive than the playsets because it's an ultimate collector set, not just because that wing section has more parts now. But anyway, I quite like what I see for the exterior design here. I like the roof panel being easily removed, and I wanted to see some attention to the leveling here because I always felt like the previous Sail Barges never quite got that level scaling correct, and I think they nailed it this time. It's not as flat as the previous models, so I like it. Now, people for a long time claimed that this thing would not have an interior space. I never really believed that, just because I was thinking that this was going to be a lot closer to a Master Builder type playset display model, kind of like the Mos Eisley Cantina or the AT-AT, and yeah, it looks like we were right. We do have a pretty nice looking interior space, and this kind of wins me over at this point. Here we can see we have a pilot section with someone driving the barge. It's nice to see small details like this when it's not heavily shown in the movies. It helps to add to the already expansive world. Next door is like a jail room or something, which is pretty cool. It adds in-universe functions for what the Sail Barge is usually used for. We have a small kitchen here, which I thought would be a bit closer to a bar-like setting, but it really does just look like a kitchen for feasting. Jabba here has a small section for being placed on, and it's awesome to see that he does come with a display base of his own, which also seems to feature a section for Salacious Crumb to be placed as well. And the last little room here is Max Rebo in his corner playing beats on the barge. The build for this area looks pretty good, but from these images, it looks like the instrument build is lacking compared to the originals. Looking at the build on its own, what I see is exactly what I wanted to see. I see a detailed newer model of the Sail Barge, complete with better details and more fleshed out designs compared to the previous models. All of that looks pretty good to me. But now we move on to where LEGO have lost me and a lot of other people, and that's the minifigures. There are some good ones here, I'll admit. There are also some awful inclusions here. I know a lot of us are tired about the constant complaints that people have for these types of sets, but premium prices, I want everything to be really perfect, and I don't know, I feel like if I'm going to be giving LEGO nearly $1,000 in my country's currency, it's not that selfish to want everything to be perfect, because it certainly doesn't cost them nearly $1,000 to produce one of these things. Taking a look at Jabba here first, since it is his ship, I'm stunned and thankful that he does not have just pure solid colored eyes. For those who don't know, LEGO changed their minifig model recently and announced that any character with colored eyes will no longer feature pupils. I'm not a fan of that design. I've been pretty outspoken about that for a good couple of years now. I think it takes too much character away from them, so I do prefer this look here. The Jabba looks to be the exact same mold as the last one, however the colors might be slightly different maybe. I can't quite tell from these images, but what I can tell is that he's not the darker tone that I really wanted him to appear in. I really wanted them to make it a lot darker and more in line with the movies. They didn't do that here, so that is a little disappointing to see. But then we get to the other figures here, starting with these three, because I think these are easily the most sought after figures here: Princess Leia, Max Rebo, and Salacious Crumb. Leia is officially back in her Hutt Slayer attire. The design is looking a little different to what we're used to. The thong and skirt has been changed to a shorts-like design that still, in my eyes, mimics a dress design quite nicely. I didn't expect to see the figure here, I don't think anyone did. I'm surprised to see her here, but I think it's a pretty good solution to a controversial inclusion. I love that hairpiece included. It looks very premium and very special. Max Rebo appears to be the exact same release as the previous version. He might be slightly different, again, I can't really tell. The original figure is incredibly expensive in the aftermarket space though. Anything to bring down the value of retired sets is just mwah, chef's kiss to me. Nuts to scalpers and investors. People have pointed out though that the design was altered in merchandising. The original puppet used in the film featured 2 limbs, not 4. The species has since been altered to say that they can either have 2 limbs or be anthropomorphic. I think people would have liked to have seen what LEGO could do here with something a bit different, but they just did the standard release instead. Call me a hypocrite here, I'm just so used to seeing him appear with 4 limbs, so this hasn't really affected me personally speaking. And then we have Salacious Crumb, who looks pretty great mold wise, but I hate the face so much. The no eyes just doesn't feel like it's supposed to be the same little fella from the movie. To me, it kind of resembles like the Species toy that you can buy at Galaxy's Edge, so cool, but I'm not really fully satisfied with this guy here. We then get a couple of aliens, one Gamorrean guard, which like, why isn't there 2 here? I'm not trying to be too picky here. I am lucky enough to have a Gamorrean guard figure already, so I'll just have to use that guy here for my full display, but only one here is pretty tiresome for these kinds of prices. Bib Fortuna is also included here. He is slightly different from the Book of Boba Fett release figure, where he was fatter than the Return of the Jedi appearance. I'm told that the torso is different. LEGO have reused that face and Leku piece though that wraps around his head. It's such an obvious display of penny pinching and cost cutting measures if you ask me. Objectively speaking, this figure is inaccurate, and LEGO themselves do claim to be sticklers for this sort of a thing, so seeing stuff like this just pisses me off, sorry to report. I don't have a modern figure of Bib Fortuna from episode 6, so I was really looking forward to having a brand new headpiece and seeing what they would do here, but this is just piss poor effort. We also have R2-D2 and C-3PO. R2-D2 here uses a LEGO plate and features some drinks to be displayed with, an awesome addition and a big improvement from the original release, because since then drinks and cups have changed significantly over the years. More cost-cutting methods on display here with 3PO. We do have a minifigure that exists of him out there with excellent printing on the legs. You can see here from this image. This figure has only been released in premium costing sets. There is another pretty high quality 3PO that's been released in playsets for everyone. It's not as high quality as what we're calling the premium one. Here, LEGO have placed a 3PO figure in a premium price set, so one should expect to see the premium price costing figure. Instead though, LEGO have reused the cheaper one. Again, it's just very lazy efforts to me. 850 NZD is a lot of money for any material goods product. This is just not reaching those heights of value. And finally we finish with some alien inclusions. We have here Cathaba, Vizam, and Woof. Initially I thought these guys would be a bit more special than they are. They are still special, I just thought that the species being chosen here were all new, but I only learned the other day that 2 of these guys have actually appeared in sets already. Only one of them appears to be new, it's this guy, and if I can nitpick here again, I wanted to see something fancy with the molding for these guys. The Mos Eisley Cantina is excellent in the minifigures department with so many special molds used throughout all of those different species. It looks like they've used the Ninjago snake hairpiece here and just modified it a little. That's cool to see. I can see why they would do this and what they were going for. I just don't think it translates as well as they would hope. I especially wanted to see the dog guy appear with a fancy head mold because it looks like they could just kind of restructure Nine Num's headpiece. So I'm not super sold on these guys, but ultimately I do like the fact that we do have extra alien dudes to help bulk out our scene. Unfortunately, we do have a couple of missing characters here in the likes of Luke, Lando, Han, Chewbacca, and Boba Fett, and that's because LEGO have split the set in 2 and release the Sarlacc and Desert Skiff separately. Again, UCS is supposed to imply the best of the best here. Stripping the mains away and splitting them up for an additional cost is a pretty tough sell, especially when the costs are this high. I heard that people tragically thought that we'd be getting another skiff here, or that the Sarlacc would feature 2 skiffs. I never once thought that LEGO were going to do something like this. This is just kind of their way now. Ultimately, I'm satisfied with the big figure inclusions here, satisfied enough I suppose, but the others do feel really lacking to me. I'm just going to have to beat on that repeating drum again here. I'm sorry, premium prices should equal premium products. This thing's like 80% there for quality and value. I think many others would agree with me as well. This doesn't really reach those full heights. Comparison wise is where the tough sell gets tougher. Looking at that 850 NZD price tag, we have 2 sets to best compare this with. Harry Potter had a special fancy Hogwarts Express set release, and of course one of my favorite sets of all time here, the Lord of the Rings Rivendell set. Hogwarts Express first, this costs 850 NZD. You're getting 5,129 pieces in total and 20 minifigure inclusions. Now none of those figures appear with some crazy molds like Jabba or Salacious Crumb, mind you, but you do get an additional 9 minifigures and 1,187 pieces. It's nothing to scoff at really. As for Rivendell, this beauty here contains even more parts with 6,167 pieces total and 15 named minifigures, although 20 if you want to count the display statue figures. Again, an extra 9 figures here and more than 2,000 extra of pieces. Scale-wise, of course, this thing is going to be smaller than either the Hogwarts Express or Rivendell, but which property do you personally value more? Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, or Star Wars? Actually, I'm realizing now it's funny to compare these ones because variations of these were all available a decade ago around the same time. And before wrapping up here though, if you are interested in buying the set day one, then be sure to order at the LEGO store and get your free gift with purchase of Luke's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. This is, I think, the third time now that they have used a buildable saber as the gift with purchase for a UCS set. It's really cool, but the practice will just never not confuse me. Why won't they sell these things on their own at a later date? People who want to pay $850 for the Sail Barge will pay $850 regardless, but selling these things for $50 half a year later, that just means more money coming your way, right? Luke's lightsaber here was something that at the start of the year I did think I would be getting myself. Unfortunately, the Sail Barge just hasn't really won me over for that price point, sorry to say. In summary, what we have here is a pretty nice looking build and a welcomed return of a classic staple of the Star Wars branding, but there's too many little issues here that ultimately build up to feeling overpriced for $850 NZD. The reusing of inaccurate figures here in a hefty scaled set like this is a cardinal sin in my book. Bib Fortuna and 3PO are big glaring issues for me. The restraint of extra figures like pilots or Gamorrean guards for that $850 price tag is also rather egregious. Like, I just showed you two sets that were priced the same and they all featured 20 minifigures. This shouldn't have less figures than the Yavin 4 base set. Splitting the sets away from one another leading to an even heftier price tag is also rather extreme. I'm also, like many of you, not in that privileged situation of having sets sent to me for free like others on the platform. I am, however, in the privileged situation of being able to afford sets like this because of the audience watching this video. I greatly appreciate all the support that's been given my way over the years, and it's because of you, the viewer, that I may even be able to consider buying a set like this, but unfortunately, I'm not really sold on a day one price here. Sale pickup, maybe, later on down the track or something. Whatever your thoughts are on the LEGO Jabba Sail Barge, you should let me know down below. Liking this video and subscribing to the channel here does help to support more videos like this one in the future. Thank you for watching everyone, ka kite anō. I do hope to see you all next time.